Greetings, Chillify channel owner. I am ready to begin. My sister Yoyo was an internet celebrity known for her babyface look. At 22, she still bought children's clothes. Whenever asked her age, she'd reply, "Little baby is 8 today." I once warned her not to intentionally make herself an object of desire, or she'd attract malicious attention. She paid no mind. In fact, just for more online engagement, she secretly wore our niece's school uniform, which led to the 8-year-old being stalked and brutally murdered by a pervert. Terrified, Yoyo deleted her social media accounts. But then, the babyface aesthetic suddenly became popular. Other internet celebrities copied her, using an innocent and harmless image to transcend their social class, while Yoyo neglected herself, never returning to her former glory. She resented me, claiming I stole her chance to marry into a wealthy family. If you hadn't scared me, that life would have been mine. Personal aesthetics are a freedom. What right do you have to criticize me? Her rage was so intense she strangled me to death. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my sister secretly put on our niece's uniform. Sister, how old do I look today?" Hearing Yoyo's childish, whiny voice, I snapped awake. Yoyo had her hair in 2 pigtails, pouting, lying amidst a pile of stuffed animals, endlessly taking selfies. When I saw her wearing our niece, Kai's, school uniform, my breath caught in my throat, and I almost couldn't hold back my tears. In my previous life, it was precisely because Yoyo secretly wore Kai's uniform and posted photos online that our 8-year-old niece was noticed by a pervert with unusual desires. They found the child, naked, in a desolate place, her body covered in gruesome bruises. When the criminal was caught, he confessed that he'd targeted Kai after seeing Yoyo's photos online. Yoyo, who always championed freedom of dress, finally felt fear. She deleted her account that very night. But not long after, the babyface aesthetic suddenly exploded in popularity. Other internet celebrities who copied her even married into wealthy families, while Yoyo neglected herself, never able to regain her past. She blamed me for everything. If you hadn't kept saying I indirectly caused Kai's death, that my style attracted that monster, I wouldn't have deleted my account. You ruined my life. She was so enraged that she drugged my milk with sleeping pills and then strangled me to death. I couldn't believe I was reborn. I suppressed the urge to cry. In this life, I would protect Kai properly. And while I was at it, I'd watch Yoyo, lost in her childish aesthetic. Without my constant warnings, what fate awaited her in this life? "That outfit is a no-go," I stated firmly. "Why? I think Kai's uniform suits me perfectly." Kai was only in 2nd grade. Logically, Yoyo, an adult, shouldn't fit into a child's clothes, but in her insane pursuit of appearing childlike, she dieted frantically. At 1.6 meters tall, she weighed less than 40 kilograms. Coupled with her long-term cosmetic surgeries and deliberate imitation of a child's lisp, if you didn't know her age, you might genuinely believe she was underage. But she was 22. Seeing my silence, Yoyo resorted to her usual childish whining. "Sister, don't I look like a little baby?" I suppressed the urge to slap her. Objectively speaking, Kai's school uniform isn't pretty. If you really want one, I'll buy you a nicer one online. Yoyo blinked, suspicious. "Sister, you've always disliked my style. Why are you suddenly offering to buy me clothes?" Then, as if realizing something, she angrily accused, "Did Kai not let me wear her uniform? That stingy bitch. She eats our food, lives in our house, and she's calculating over a single piece of clothing." Hearing Yoyo call Kai that, I couldn't help but frown. Kai was my cousin's daughter. When she was 3, my cousin and her husband died in a car accident. My mother adopted her. But from the first day Kai came to our house, Yoyo had an inexplicable dislike for her niece. In my previous life, I never understood why. Not until I blamed her for Kai's death did she laugh coldly. "What's it got to do with me? If you want to blame someone, blame her for having such an alluring face." Kai resembled my cousin, beautiful as a doll since birth. It was then I was startled to discover that Yoyo's face was becoming more and more like Kai's. I didn't know when Yoyo started using Kai's face as her plastic surgery template. I felt a wave of nausea. I never imagined Yoyo's twisted inner world would stoop to envying even an 8-year-old child. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Yoyo, this has nothing to do with Kai. I just think it really isn't pretty. If you don't trust my fashion sense, then go ahead and post the picture." I deliberately said this because Yoyo hated nothing more than being told she looked bad. Sure enough, she began to hesitate, awkwardly biting her lower lip. But I promised my followers I'd post photos today, and I don't have any new clothes in my closet. Yoyo was the type who absolutely refused to wear old clothes for photo shoots. I thought for a moment, go pick something from my closet. She froze, then suddenly burst into contemptuous laughter. Sister, you dress like an old woman every day. What clothes of yours would suit me? Hearing that, an outsider would think I was 40 or 50. In reality, I was only 6 years older than Yoyo. It's just that she'd always disliked my style. She preferred an innocent and seductive, childlike look. Tight tops, short flared skirts, and white silk stockings were her standard attire. This is called innocent chic, sister. Old people like you wouldn't understand, she said smugly. Indeed, my closet probably didn't contain anything she'd like. But then I remembered a gift box my ex-boyfriend had sent. It was still in there, I'd forgotten to throw it out. I smirked. Just go have a look. Who knows, you might find something that fits. I sat in the living room, watching TV, letting Yoyo rummage through my closet. Less than 5 minutes later, she ran out, hugging the gift box, her face flushed with excitement. Oh my God, sister, you have such good stuff, and it's brand new. I smiled faintly, not betraying any emotion. My sister certainly didn't disappoint. It was a pink maid outfit, perfectly suited to her aesthetic. Sister, this dress doesn't suit you anyway. You're too old, it wouldn't look good on you. Why don't you just give it to me? If you like it, take it. You're too kind. Yoyo happily ran back to her room to change and start taking photos. The sound of a key in the lock announced Kai's return from school. Seeing the child safe and sound in front of me, my tears flowed uncontrollably. Auntie Gia, why are you crying? The little girl ran over to wipe my tears. In that moment, I truly felt the reality of my rebirth. Yoyo hadn't worn Kai's uniform. Perhaps fate had quietly shifted, but I dared not let my guard down. I pulled out my phone and saw the photo Yoyo had just posted online, accompanied by the caption, "Little baby is 8 today." Yoyo's baby face combined with that maid outfit was both innocent and seductive. It quickly garnered countless compliments. Such a cute baby, this isn't 8, she's clearly only 3. Super cute outfit, I want one exactly like it. Only fair-skinned and slender women are truly beautiful. Yoyo was thrilled every time she saw these comments, even though there were quite a few vulgar ones below. How much a night? Is she really underage? Same city, want to connect. She didn't find anything wrong with it. In fact, she saw it as a symbol of her charm. Little did she know, this was the beginning of her descent into the abyss. Just a few days later, Yoyo started causing trouble again. She paraded in front of me in her newly bought outfit. Sister, we're going to the amusement park today. You're going to take pictures for me. You haven't forgotten, have you? If you haven't forgotten, then why didn't you wish little baby a happy Children's Day? Yes, my 22-year-old sister still insisted on celebrating Children's Day. I explained to her, Children's Day is for kids under 14. She glared at me, annoyed. You're such a fossil, sister. Don't keep bringing up my age. I don't care how old I am. Even at 70 or 80, I'm still a little baby who needs to celebrate. So today, you're coming to the amusement park with me and taking pictures for me. Her attitude was unyielding. Yoyo had no friends growing up. After graduating high school, she stopped studying. When told to go out and work, to socialize, she'd just feign cuteness. Have you ever seen a little baby who has to earn money to support her family? My mother indulged her, so she spent all day at home, surfing the internet, enjoying life in her virtual world. And besides her online followers, I was the only person she could talk to who was age-appropriate. I shook my head. No, I have to take Kai to extra classes. After what happened in my previous life, I now suffered from PTSD. I couldn't bear to leave the child alone, at least not at this stage. Yoyo pouted. She's not a child anymore. What's wrong with her going to classes by herself? I emotionlessly sipped my porridge. You're 22, not a child anymore. What's wrong with you going to the amusement park by yourself? Immediately, her eyes reddened with an aggrieved look, as if I'd scolded her unjustly. If she wasn't happy, my mother would naturally intervene. Jia Sheng, go with your sister. It's a holiday today. I'll take Kai. I chuckled coldly. Since Kai came to our house, my mother had barely paid any attention to her. I had raised her, and now my mother was suddenly willing to make an effort. I originally intended to refuse, but remembering Yoyo's tantrum at the amusement park gate in my previous life, I changed my mind. All right, I'll go with her. Not for any other reason, mostly because I wanted to watch a spectacle. Yoyo skipped out the door after me. She wore a super short white lace dress, revealing a generous amount of cleavage, a matching lace headband, and a small bear backpack. Sister, sister, am I cute? She suddenly jumped in front of me, winking. Cute? I smiled, or rather, didn't smile, not wanting to say too much. If I did, she'd just get upset. Yoyo had become this way partly due to my mother, and partly due to my father's fault. When my father had an affair and found a younger, prettier woman, my mother's personality changed. She had just given birth to Yoyo then, and she began to instill in her from a young age that women must be young and beautiful. Under my mother's warped upbringing and a childhood lacking a father's love, Yoyo went to extremes, turning herself into an object of provocation. But my mother was very satisfied with her creation. The entrance to the amusement park was crowded with children celebrating the holiday. Yoyo stood among them, then turned to ask me, "Sister, do I look like them?" My heart sank. This familiar scene, even experiencing it again, still made my head spin. Sure enough, she immediately made the same unreasonable demand as in my previous life. "Sister, I want a child's ticket too." At that moment, I just wanted to take her to get a disability certificate. If brain damage counted as a disability, in my previous life, to prove she really looked underage, Yoyo stubbornly insisted on buying a child's ticket. But entry required an ID, and the ticket checker had to match the photo on the ID. Without thinking, she said, "Just use Kai's. I look almost like her now." I don't agree. She immediately began to cry and scream, throwing a tantrum. "I want a child's ticket. I want one." Tourists nearby, not understanding the situation, came over to advise me, "Little girl, just buy your sister a ticket." In the end, out of embarrassment, I had to use Kai's ID to buy her a child's ticket. I still remember when Yoyo used Kai's ID to enter, the security guard at the gate looked at the ID, then looked her up and down. The man's crude gaze finally rested on Yoyo's chest. "How can an 8-year-old be so well developed?" Yoyo smiled triumphantly. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Hee hee, I fooled him. Looks like I really do look 8. I told her, "Men are animals who think with their lower half. If you dress like this, they'll believe anything you say." My intention was to tell her not to always consider herself a child, not to believe every compliment, or she'd end up fooling herself. Who knew she'd misunderstand? Really? So that means dressing like this is very effective. I knew this girl was beyond help. She was clearly a lost cause. Children who make mistakes can be forgiven, can avoid responsibility, and gain benefits by whining and clinging. Therefore, Yoyo, from the bottom of her heart, never wanted to grow up. But can a person really deceive their way through life forever? "Sister, quickly, get Kai's ID?" She was excited, eager to try, but I would not let her exploit Kai's information again. "I didn't bring it." "I don't believe you." She suddenly reached out to grab it, but with her frail body, how much strength did she have? After a struggle, she failed, then stared, looking as if she would burst into tears any second. "Sister, I just want to go to the amusement park. Why won't you buy me a ticket?" She yelled, pouring out all her grievances, deliberately attracting nearby tourists. Just like in my previous life, she knew I cared about my reputation and wanted me to buy her a ticket due to public pressure. But I had seen through it. In fact, the one losing face wasn't me. Why should I be embarrassed? I ignored her screams. Soon, many parents came to advise me, "It's a holiday today, just indulge her. It's just a child's ticket." "This is my sister, she's 22. They immediately fell silent, then understood and subtly backed away. My sister, hearing me reveal her true age in public, cried even harder, until an auntie stepped forward and criticized me. "You should look after your child, and it's best to re-educate her. You can't spoil her like this. It's obvious your family has spoiled this child rotten." I nodded in agreement. "Auntie, you're right. I don't know how to raise a child. Please teach me." The auntie huffed coldly. "This isn't complicated. If she doesn't listen, a good beating will make her behave." "Really?" "Slap." I slapped Yoyo. She froze, so shocked she let out a choked sob and stopped crying. "Sister, you hit me." She looked at me in disbelief. After all, from childhood to adulthood, this was probably the first time she had been hit. "Are you well behaved now?" I asked. As a result, she looked as if she had suffered an immense injustice. Her crying grew even louder. Slap, slap, slap. I slapped her several more times in quick succession. I'll stop when you're only sniffling. If a child throwing a tantrum was a privilege, then an adult disciplining their child was also a privilege. No one around intervened. After 6 or 7 slaps, Yoyo finally stopped sobbing, her eyes red, glaring defiantly at me. I took out the adult ticket I had already bought. "Are you coming or not? If not, go home." She gritted her teeth, wiped her tears, and meekly followed me through the gate. Indeed, a beating made her behave instantly. Once inside the park, she didn't play any of the rides. She only played to take photos. And the photos she wanted to take were as indescribable as her own personality. In my previous life, when she took photos, I wasn't very cooperative with her demands. There were many vulgar poses I refused to help her with, which resulted in her photos not looking good, attracting many negative comments online. She blamed it all on me. She even went into the comments section to apologize to her followers. "Boo-hoo, I'm sorry, my little darlings. My sister took these. She's so conservative she wouldn't let me do this or that." Then she tagged my account. "This is my sister. If you want to scold someone, scold her. But after you scold her, please don't scold me anymore, okay?" Countless fans stormed my personal page, spewing insults. Initially, it was just discussions about the incident, but then they outright judged my appearance. Finally, even my workplace was dug up. "Oh, she works in finance. No wonder. This appearance and dressing style perfectly match my stereotype of the industry. She looks 30. I heard she's not married. Her life is already a failure." And it attracted a bunch of men sending me private messages. 30 years old, others don't want her, but I do. I like your type, let's be friends. I couldn't stand the harassment. In this life, no matter what outrageous thing she did, I wouldn't care. She played on the merry-go-round, but instead of sitting properly like a normal person, she would kneel on the horse with her knees spread apart, as if brain damaged. The staff reminded her several times, but she didn't listen. She bought an ice cream as a photo prop, didn't eat it, only left a streak of milk around her mouth, because children often have messy mouths after eating. When she encountered cute mascots in the park, she'd immediately demand to be carried, and it had to be princess style. Finally, in the children's area, she hogged the slide from the other kids. She occupied the slide for half an hour just for a good photo. No matter what kind of photos she took, she was never satisfied, so she vented her anger on the children who wanted to play on the slide. A polite 3-year-old boy approached and asked, "Sister, how much longer will you be taking pictures?" Impatiently, she shoved the boy. His head hit the ground, unfortunately hitting a nail, and blood immediately flowed out. The boy's parents rushed over, preventing her from leaving. Only then did Yoyo panic, instinctively looking at me for help. I shrugged. "Why are you looking at me? They're real children, you're a fake child, and you're not underage. You can handle it yourself at the police station later." Fortunately, the boy's injury wasn't too severe, but his parents were furious and demanded 100,000 yuan in compensation from Yoyo. The boy's father, a known local tough guy, declared that if they didn't get the money, he'd beat Yoyo until she lost a limb or two. My mother rushed to me. "Jia Sheng, save your sister. You can't just watch her life be ruined." Smiled. "Mother, that's her life. What's it got to do with me?" My mother immediately turned to criticize me. "How can you be so selfish?" Hearing her say that, I just wanted to laugh. How dare she call me selfish? In my previous life, Kai Kai's tragic death hadn't even caused a ripple in my mother's or Yoyo's hearts, as if the deceased was just an unimportant person. When I criticized Yoyo for causing Kai Kai's death by secretly wearing her uniform, my mother turned around and scolded me. "It's just one uniform. You're blaming Yoyo for that. Even if, as you say, Kai Kai died in Yoyo's place, shouldn't you, as her sister, be happy?" Happy? I thought I misheard, but my mother casually replied, "Yes, otherwise the victim would have been your sister. Besides that, Kai Kai was always clinging to you. What if it affected your chances of getting married? Now that she's gone, it might not be a bad thing after all." In that moment, I no longer recognized my own mother. I chuckled coldly. Back then, the whip hadn't lashed her own body, so she didn't know the pain. Now it's just monetary compensation, and my mother is already frantic. "It's not that I don't want to help," she said. I pretended to sigh and pulled out a prepared stock trading interface. "See, Mother, all the money I've earned over the years has been lost. I even borrowed some of it." My mother was stunned. She knew nothing about stocks, so she wouldn't realize this interface was a fake I'd had a friend create. I forced out a few drops of remorseful tears. I didn't want everyone to worry about me, so I didn't say anything. She was silent for a long time before regaining her voice. Don't you still have a house? Why don't you sell the house? I knew she'd aim for my house. I opened a chat app and showed her my history. See, I can't pay back the money, the house is already mortgaged to a friend. They're only letting me stay there temporarily for now. This is just a friend, so it's easy to talk to them. I still owe money to some unsavory characters. I don't know if they'll come looking for me at home. The stock page was fake, and the chat history with my friends was, of course, also fake. If necessary, I could even hire a group of people to come to the house and act out a debt collection drama with me. I smiled. Mother, why don't you help me pay off my debts? She rolled her eyes and took a sip of water. What does your debt have to do with me? Besides, I'm old, where would I get the money? But I knew she had a retirement fund that she normally wouldn't touch. This time, to save Yoyo, she probably had no other choice. My mother was frantic at home worrying about her, but Yoyo, on the other end, acted as if nothing had happened. Even right after leaving the police station, she didn't forget to post a selfie online at the station. Officer saw I was underage, so he let me go again. Weak, helpless, pathetic, waiting online for a kind soul to take me home. After my sister returned, my mother straight up complained about the cramped house and kicked me out. I knew she was afraid my creditors would come looking for me. When I had money, she'd invite me back to stay in every possible way. For no other reason than, if I lived at home, I'd bear all the household expenses. If it weren't for Kai Kai's school being nearby, I really wouldn't want to be there every day. That very evening, I packed my things and took Kai Kai away. I used the back door, a path normally deserted. As soon as I got downstairs, I saw Yoyo returning from the beauty salon. About 5 meters behind her, a man seemed to be following, but I couldn't clearly see his face because only the gate of our complex had streetlights on this road. I intended to observe more, but Kai Kai, quick-mouthed, called out loudly from a distance, "Auntie Gia." Yoyo didn't notice, but the man behind her suddenly stopped. He seemed to look in our direction, then abruptly turned and left. A sense of unease settled in my heart. When Yoyo approached, I saw her engrossed in her phone. Was that man behind you just now following you? Yoyo indifferently scrolled through her phone. Probably. He's been following me since I left the beauty salon. Must be a fan. Her mind was completely elsewhere. She complained to me irritably, "Sister, I want more plastic surgery." She pulled out her phone to show me. A netizen just said my teeth aren't pretty. I don't want square teeth, sister. I want them filed into an oval shape. And also, I noticed my hairline is receding. As she said these words, her eyes kept glancing at Kai Kai, as if wanting to see through the child's face what else she could fix on herself. And why was she telling me? She just wanted me to pay for her plastic surgery. Although Yoyo was an internet celebrity, she always claimed to be underage. So, no company dared to sign a contract with her because her photos were too sensitive. If she really was underage, it would be disastrous. No company wanted to take that risk compared to making money. She cared more about her image in the eyes of others than about earning money. But if she didn't earn money, my mother couldn't afford her expenses. Before, they could rely on me to drain, but not anymore. If Yoyo kept demanding plastic surgery, she would probably drain all of my mother's retirement savings. I wondered if my mother's little baby would ever take care of her in the future. After moving into my own apartment, without Yoyo around, I enjoyed a period of peace. But I couldn't help but think of the man I saw that night. I suspected he was the culprit who harmed Kai Kai in my previous life. I began to keep Kai Kai by my side at all times, even enrolling her in a taekwondo class on weekends. Although learning martial arts might not do much when facing an adult threat, she would at least have the courage to stand up to bullies her own age. Weakness and fragility, these were the stereotypes the outside world imposed on women. Women, you can also be very strong. As for Yoyo, she would never understand that her feigned weakness, softness, and artificiality would one day turn against her. I just didn't expect that day to come so soon. Over the phone, my mother was sobbing. "Jia Sheng, hurry to the hospital. Yoyo, something's happened." In the hospital room, Yoyo was covered in injuries. Her eyes stared blankly at the ceiling. She didn't respond to anyone. My mother wept hysterically beside her. "Why did this happen to my precious daughter? It's so unfair. Why would anyone target her out of the blue?" Yoyo, lying in the hospital bed, heard that sentence and suddenly turned her eyes to me. "I know this is all your fault, sister. You made me an easy target." She grew more agitated as she spoke. "That man looked at my photos every day. He said he'd been following me for a long time. And as for when he first noticed her, it was obvious, the day she went to the amusement park. That day, while playing at the park, she had made excessive gestures, captured and posted online by netizens. Furthermore, she had even taken a selfie at the entrance of the police station. It was too easy for someone to find her whereabouts. But once again, she blamed me. If you hadn't stopped me from wearing Kai Kai's uniform that day, maybe he wouldn't have found me. Maybe the one who suffered this wouldn't have been me." She laughed maniacally. After a long fit of laughter, she suddenly gasped, as if remembering something, and looked at me. "Oh, right, sister. You don't know yet, do you? That bastard escaped." When she said this, her tone was slightly elevated with an inexplicable hint of joy. But why was she joyful? A chilling dread involuntarily crept into my heart. By reflex, I wanted to find Kai Kai. Only by seeing her could I feel a little at ease. A tragedy like the last life, I didn't want to experience it again. I turned and rushed out, but my mother quickly pulled me back. "Hey, don't go. You caused your sister to end up like this. Shouldn't you make it up to her a little? Both mentally and physically, her recovery will cost money. You really have no other choice." I shrugged and smiled. "Mother, how can I help? I can barely take care of myself. Or perhaps you can mortgage the house for your sister's rehabilitation?" She shook her head, disagreeing. "If I mortgage it, what will I use to pay it back?" I looked at Yoyo on the hospital bed. "Isn't there still my sister?" "Mother, she earns a lot of money as an internet celebrity. She's not really underage. Her monthly income as an internet celebrity might even surpass your lifetime's dead-end salary." Hearing me say that, my mother's eyes lit up. And I had my own motives. My mother had originally adopted Kai Kai because she saw that my cousin had left a considerable sum of money. That money, ostensibly meant for Kai Kai's upbringing, had actually all been used for Yoyo's plastic surgeries. If Yoyo didn't earn her own money, how could I reclaim that money for Kai Kai? After meeting Kai Kai at school, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Kai Kai slightly frowned. "Auntie, why are you so early today? You're sweating a lot. Did you run here?" After speaking, the child took a tissue to wipe my sweat. I told her seriously, "Kai Kai, from now on, besides me, don't go anywhere with anyone else, okay? Just wait obediently at school. No matter what happens, I'll come pick you up." "Yes," she replied, "but Auntie, don't run here anymore. It's too tiring." I smiled. In this family, only Kai Kai truly cared about me. My mother and Yoyo merely saw me as a docile tool to exploit. I couldn't help but feel a little worried, thinking about Yoyo's abnormal behavior at the hospital today. In my previous life, after the criminal assaulted Kai Kai, he killed her to silence her. In this life, Yoyo, in a situation where no one came to her aid, survived. When things are unusual, there must be something evil at play. Until the criminal was caught, I couldn't rest easy. A few days later, Yoyo was discharged from the hospital. When I visited her, I found she didn't care whether the criminal was caught or not. Instead, she was only concerned about her appearance, whether her face and body could recover as before. But this required a significant amount of money. She could only choose to sign a contract with a company. I accompanied her to prepare for the signing. My suggestion was considered a helping hand. With a legitimate company's backing, her fanbase grew. Her style remained consistently childlike, but an actually underage person posting sensitive photos online only attracted men who didn't even bother to pretend. A woman who looked underage, but was actually an adult, would attract men who, at least, appeared respectable. Jian Ting, a young master from a wealthy family, was one such man. He first publicly followed her online, then sent private messages asking for her contact information. Yoyo had originally been unhappy every day, often suffering from insomnia. The appearance of Jian Ting completely cured her internal turmoil. What psychologists couldn't do, Jian Ting's presence immediately made her see hope in life. When I saw her again, she had completely transformed. She was covered in luxury brands, and even my mother beamed with joy. She deliberately invited me and Kai Kai home for dinner. Yoyo fiddled with a bracelet on her wrist. "Sister, a Ting gave me all of this. Isn't that surprising? I went through such a painful ordeal, and now I'm still living very well. After all, a Ting still thinks I'm his first woman, and he said he'll take good care of me." She smiled meaningfully at me. Technology makes it so easy to blur the lines between real and fake now. You were right about one thing, sister. Men all think with their lower half. Whatever I tell him, he believes. The condition is you have to keep your mouth shut. We're a family. If one of us shines, the whole family benefits. If one of us is disgraced, the whole family suffers. You understand, right? So, she had intentionally invited me home to threaten me. Honestly, I hadn't intended to do anything. She had already paid a proportionate price. But not long after, I suddenly received a private message on my social media with only one sentence: "Watch your little niece carefully." Before I could reply, the sender sent a schedule detailing my and Kai Kai's daily routines down to the hour. He was telling me that our every move was under his observation. Cold sweat broke out on me. I went to the police to report it. The police said they would send someone to protect me. I thought back to that evening under the streetlights, me in the light, him in the dark. He must have noticed Kai Kai then. But the case file stated that he didn't know the address of my new home. After moving out, I had only visited Yoyo once, the week before. While I couldn't rule out the possibility that he had been following me since that day, the schedule he sent actually recorded events from a few days after Yoyo was hospitalized. I don't know why, but I always felt this couldn't be unrelated to Yoyo, but I had no proof. After much thought, I decided to test the waters. I registered a new WBO account and sent Yoyo a private message. Since I wasn't sure what they had discussed, after some consideration, I tried sending a message. "Little sister, I haven't forgotten you yet. How could you already have a boyfriend?" I knew Yoyo would see it. She never ignored any private messages. Sure enough, that evening, Yoyo replied. Although I had long known she was evil by nature, seeing her message with my own eyes still made me want to vomit. "Didn't I tell you to take care of my little niece? I even gave you the address. Why are you breaking your promise?" It seemed Yoyo had used a transaction to escape the pervert's clutches. No wonder she didn't care if he was caught or not. I couldn't sit around waiting to die anymore. I had to proactively counterattack. But I needed an opportunity. A week later, the opportunity arrived. Yoyo's birthday was approaching. Jianting had reserved an entire floor of a luxurious hotel to celebrate her birthday. When I accompanied Yoyo to choose an evening gown, she conveniently invited me. "Sister, you should come that day too, but I hope you don't bring Kai Kai along." Although Yoyo didn't state her reason, it was clear from her face. She now looked too much like Kai Kai. I thought for a moment, then awkwardly said, "Can I not bring her to the party? I'll rent a room downstairs for her, and Kai Kai can play there by herself. Don't worry, it won't affect your birthday party." Yoyo thought for a moment, then nodded. "All right, that works." The day before the birthday party, I pretended to be the man and sent Yoyo a private message. "Tomorrow is the best chance. You must help me, or tomorrow at the party, I will ruin you." Not long after, Yoyo replied, "I will help you." The day of her birthday quickly arrived. I bought Kai Kai an evening gown identical to Yoyo's, then put a coat over it for her. Then we headed to the hotel. I asked the front desk for 2 room keys, then took Kai Kai to her room and went to the party room. All Jianting's wealthy friends were there, along with some famous internet celebrities and a few minor, unknown stars. Yoyo had already had some wine and was now nestled against Jianting like a little bird. Seeing me arrive, she raised her wine glass and pouted. "Sister, which room is Kai Kai in? Little baby seems a bit tipsy. Can you give me the room key later so I can go downstairs and rest a bit?" "Didn't Jianting book a room for you?" She blushed, whispering, "He did, but little baby smells all boozy like this. I want to shower first before going to Jianting's place. He's a germaphobe." "All right, but you can't rest for too long. You have to be back up here by 11:55. I handed her the room key, reminding her. In half an hour, it would be midnight. At that time, she would come up to cut the cake and have the happiest 23rd birthday of her life. After Yoyo left the party, my WBO received a private message from her. "Room 1205. Hurry." At 11:50, the 10-tier cake was wheeled out. Jianting had even invited a Disney performance troupe. It looked incredibly beautiful and dreamy. I took out my phone and snapped a picture of the scene, sending it to Yoyo. "Why aren't you here yet? Everyone's waiting for you." But the main character of the party still hadn't appeared. At 11:55, I invited Jianting. "Shall we go downstairs and call Yoyo up?" Jianting thought for a moment, then followed me downstairs. I asked the receptionist to help me swipe the card and open room 1205. In that moment, everyone at the door was stunned. Painful moans echoed from inside the room, clothes were strewn about, and there was a faint smell of blood. From our angle, we just happened to see Yoyo's face. Jianting was so scared he froze. The man in the room saw us and frantically rushed out. Unfortunately, the police had also arrived by then. Ting, little baby hurts so much? Yoyo weakly reached out for Ting's help. Ting abruptly took a step back. Yoyo then looked at me, pleading. I checked my watch, it was exactly midnight. Happy birthday, I congratulated her with an emotionless expression. I wondered if she had seen the photo I just sent her. But from this moment on, her life would be just like that photo. Happiness was clearly within reach, but she could never grasp it. After Yoyo was taken to the hospital, I went to the room next door to find Kai Kai. The child was lying on the bed, watching an entertainment show with my best friend. This room had been booked by my best friend. After I asked the front desk for room card 1205, it seemed as if I was entering room 1205, but in reality, I was entering room 1206. I had put the room 1205 keycard in Kai Kai's bag, and before entering the room, I had taken the child to stroll on the beach outside the hotel for a while. Her handbag was on the sand at that time. Then I took Kai Kai to my best friend. When Yoyo asked for the room key, I gave it to her. If I hadn't listened to her, I didn't know what kind of chaos she would have caused. As for what would happen, I couldn't be entirely sure. But I knew that the pervert would definitely act today. Because yesterday, I had posted an unprecedented message on WBO. You cowardly rat who only dares to stalk from behind. I won't give you any opportunity to make a move. I deliberately used provocative language to agitate him. Although it carried a risk, I knew that if he saw Kai Kai entering a room alone, he wouldn't miss this rare opportunity. Therefore, after Yoyo took the room key downstairs, I called the police. To prevent him from escaping, I also asked a friend who studied martial arts to stay in the room opposite room 1205 and keep an eye out for me. When Yoyo was taken to the hospital, she was barely clinging to life. The pervert, seeing us, thought it was a trap she had set and stabbed her violently in the abdomen. I don't know if she wished she had enough strength to push him away at that moment, but she was too weak, like a fish being butchered. Even her few struggles seemed pale and futile. Because of the timely intervention, she survived. The first thing Yoyo did when she woke up was look for Ting. She tearfully texted Ting. Ting, aren't you coming to see little baby? Little baby misses you. Ting flat out blocked her. She then tirelessly started calling him. Until the day she was discharged, Ting actually came, but he didn't come up. The person who came up was his new girlfriend, rumored to be a cool Taekwondo student, a complete contrast to Yoyo's style. Yoyo bristled when she saw her. Who are you? When you smiled, haven't you seen the news? Then let me introduce myself. I'm Ting's girlfriend. Yoyo immediately flew into a rage. No way, how can a Ting not want me? He even said he'd marry me. What are you, an old hag? A crisp slap echoed in the hospital room. Didn't anyone teach you how to speak respectfully? Stunned by the unexpected blow, Yoyo instantly erupted in fury. I'll fight you to the death. Yoyo reached out to grab Wenya's hair, but Wenya easily grabbed her small arm, twisted it behind her back, and gently wrenched it. The move was effortless. Ah, it hurts. Yoyo's eyes welled with tears. Unable to fight back, she resorted to insults. Who are you anyway? You can't be a Ting's girlfriend. Who would like a loser like you? Wenya chuckled. Just then, her phone rang. With one hand controlling Yoyo, she put the call on speaker. Ting's magnetic voice came from the other end. How much longer? Almost done, Wenya replied coolly. Don't waste our time on unimportant people. His voice was cold. Hearing Ting's voice, Yoyo struggled and screamed, A Ting, what did little baby do wrong? Why aren't you paying attention to little baby? Didn't you say you'd marry me? Ting hung up. Wenya sounded as if she'd heard a joke. Marry you? Where did he say that? In bed, you really are a little baby. Do you believe everything men say? If you want someone to marry you, first look at what you have to offer. Inherit the excellent genes of a rich family, marry you to ruin 3 generations. He just hadn't seen anyone like you before and wanted to try something new. I'm here to tell you, stop calling Ting. Girls shouldn't live so cheaply. Yoyo didn't hear a word of it. When you let go and turned to leave, Yoyo then turned her attention to me, rushing at me like a mad dog. It was you who harmed me. It was you. Otherwise, I don't understand why Kai Kai wasn't in that room when I opened the door. But she was too thin and weak. Even lunging with the fiercest expression, she held no threat. I pushed her away, questioning her coldly. When you gave my address to that pervert, when you aided the enemy, didn't you think you were harming someone? She smiled venomously. Who told him he was a pervert? When he was in bed with me, he still remembered Kai Kai, so I gave him your address. He saw how cooperative I was, so he spared my life. This isn't harming someone, sister. This is me saving myself. Do you know, sister? When I walked through the gates of death, I saw another outcome. The one who should have endured all of this was Kai Kai. She didn't come to our house for no reason. She came to suffer in my place. It's all your fault, sister. All your fault for ruining everything. Yoyo fell severely ill. Due to years of improper eating, she developed anorexia. Her entire body looked like a walking skeleton, bony and gaunt, completely devoid of any connection to the word beautiful. Giant Ting ignored her, and her mental state also deteriorated. My mother cried every day, but no matter how she urged Yoyo to recover, Yoyo remained like a lost soul. I knew she couldn't live a normal life like this anymore. The manager from her company directly contacted me about her work because I had helped her with part of the arrangements. Although the company had assigned an assistant to her, she always said she was more used to me. When signing the contract, I had noticed there were problems with it, but I didn't say anything. So, even though my sister was now mentally unstable, she still had to work. Because as long as she wasn't dead, my sister had to work for this company for 5 full years, or she would have to pay a hefty breach of contract fee. When I told my mother about this, as soon as she heard about the large compensation fee, she instinctively told me to find a solution. I've already consulted with the company. Videos and photos will continue to be posted. At most, if she can't take them, I can help. Will she still earn money? My mother asked, then looked at Yoyo's current state and shook her head. Even I can't bear to look at her for too long. How could she earn money now? Just do it then, she said, utterly disappointed. For her now, as long as she didn't have to pay compensation, anything was fine. She thought Yoyo in this state couldn't earn money anymore, but she understood too little about the internet. Yoyo had a certain fan base. Her completely regressed baby face appearance now would, to some extent, attract curious people and generate traffic. After all, in my previous life, after I died, my mother took the blame for Yoyo. The case caused a public uproar. Yoyo even leveraged this to livestream online, playing the victim. I lost 2 loved ones in one night. I don't know how I'll live in the future. Can everyone help me? By debasing herself, she attracted a wave of public sympathy. In this era where traffic is king, as long as you are shameless enough, it's not impossible to get rich. And those earnings, of course, all went into my pocket. Every debt has its debtor. Sooner or later, you have to pay. After Yoyo became a useless daughter, my mother finally paid attention to me. She began to hope I could find a rich, kind husband to save her from this predicament, but she didn't know that I didn't need to rely on men because I was already wealthy enough. I didn't touch a single penny of the money earned from Yoyo. I deposited it all for Kai Kai. The money I earned now was all from investments. After all, I had been reborn once. It would be a pity not to use this anomaly to make money. Of course, the most gratifying thing was that in this life, Kai Kai was still alive and healthy, living her normal days. I held her hand as we walked home from school. Kai Kai chattered, telling me stories about school. Auntie, today in class, a boy said I wear pants every day, like a manly lump of meat. He said girls should wear dresses to be cute. Then what? I asked. Kai Kai waved her hand. I punched him. I couldn't help but laugh, and then he said girls shouldn't hit people. The little girl said angrily, I kicked him, and then what? Then he shut up. Because you don't have to live according to other people's expectations. So what if you're too fat, too dark, or not youthful enough? What does it have to do with you? Yoyo cared too much about others' comments on her appearance. But you will never know what kind of people those are who point fingers at your life and aesthetics, because they might be predators wanting to mold you into the shape they want to see. And you are the prey waiting to be hunted.